So I kind of feel like meditating has been made way too complicated. I'm going to share my own personal story. This video might get kind of long because I feel like it's just been made way too complicated. People are saying they can only do it in the morning, they can only do it at night, they have to have their crystals, they have to light candles, they have to journal, and it has to be this big ritual. It doesn't. You can meditate anywhere you want, anytime you want, and it doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 3 minutes when you're at the red light. It can be a couple minutes while you're at your desk at work. It can be an hour before you go to bed. You can do it whenever you want. And the other thing is you don't have to close your eyes. I keep my eyes open because when my eyes close, my head's like bing, and all these thoughts come to me. And meditating isn't about blocking thoughts, but it is about controlling them. So when your head floods, practice and give yourself time in controlling each thought when it comes to you. And when you meditate, I feel like it's necessary to do it throughout the day because sometimes you have to experience something at that moment, at that location where you're at, to receive the necessary message for whatever it is you're being guided through. And I feel like a lot of times we miss those messages because we feel like we can only be at home or we can only do it in the morning. It really is something you do throughout the day. And I'm going to share a story with you. I'm an intuitive health medium, and I see and feel trauma and stress that's trapped energetically in people, and I can feel the illness that manifests from that trauma and stress. And I do it through meditation. Like in my sessions with my clients, I've been doing it for 8 years. I have a book out there called The Collision of Me, and I'm going to share a story with you that's in this book. It's available on Amazon. Now, I was at a restaurant with my realtor. We had just put in an offer on a house, and as he was talking, and we're just talking about stuff, I hear a little boy's voice. And I start seeing stuff. So right away I was like, there's messages, there's a reason I'm here. So I reached out to the higher self of this little boy because I knew the little boy was the inner child of a living person somewhere in the restaurant. I could feel it. I could feel him around me. I could feel his throat cancer. I could see it on his throat. I could see the teeth rotting, the TMJ. I could see the issues all through like the vagus nerve area and his neck. I could hear his abusive father. I could tell he was raised on a farm. Like I could smell the farm type of like cows and stuff like that. I could hear his mom in the kitchen doing dishes because I could tell her way of avoiding the father was just staying in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, repeat, 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 which caused him to have abandonment issues with his mom because he was being abused by his father and she was staying in the kitchen and avoiding all of it. And I could feel everything. I could tell he was in the army. I mean, I'm telling you guys, all this information was coming to me. So I reached out to his higher self and said, if he's ready to know that I see him, like energetically see him, create a space for us to have a conversation. Now, as a soul light coach, when I work with people who are like working on practicing their gifts, that's one of the things I teach. Reach out to the higher self. Never walk up to a random person and give them a message that is so disrespectful. So I reached out to the higher self. Well, within a couple minutes of saying, if he's ready to hear this, have him reach out. The man right behind me turns around and starts a conversation with me. And he just turns around and he's like, so you're buying a house, huh? Are you buying a house in this area? I'm like, yeah. So we get to talking, and every single thing I felt was validated. He started sharing with me that he was from that town. He called it a little sleepy town. He shared with me that he did have a farm and that his dad used to fix the tractors, which one of the things I smelled while talking to him was diesel. And as I'm smelling the diesel, which tells me his dad's nearby, he tells me about his dad and how he would fix the tractors. And all this information kept coming through. So I'm in this like meditative state, like my eyes are dialed out and I'm just feeling all this information coming in. Meanwhile, my realtor's eating lunch and he's watching all this take place. And we end up, all three of us, just having this like amazing conversation. And as I'm talking to him, I am sending Reiki energy. I'm telling the little boy he's safe. I'm telling him that he's loved. And then at the end of this conversation, I find out that this man is terminally ill with throat cancer and he's in his final days of his life. Now, where I'm going with this is I feel like that took place because that little boy needed to be seen so this man could feel love toward the end of his days. And he was with his wife, and it felt like a healthy marriage, and she seemed like a really nice lady. But I sent love, and I talked to this little boy through this meditation while I'm in the middle of having lunch with my realtor, and I told him he was safe. I told him that I saw him. I thanked him for sharing his stories with me, and I just sat in conversation spiritually with this little boy. Now, this story is much longer. It's in my book, The Collision of Me, that's on Amazon, but it was the most beautiful experience, and I would have missed that if I had myself conditioned to think I can only meditate at home at night or whatever. I would have missed that because I just allowed it. Even though I'm having lunch with a realtor, when my eyes drifted off and I could feel my third eye open up and I could feel my energy just like expand, I knew it was a reason and it had nothing to do with me. It was all about that man. So being spiritual and meditating, it isn't about scheduling a time and a place and the right time or the wrong time. It's about being energetically present and balanced so that you can have clarity.